Now let's say I want to write a bank account details or a bank account number instead of this hello Adil text. So let's say the bank account number is H3893 or some gibberish. Let's say it's a long text. Now if I run the code, you can see it prints the bank account number. But let's say you have many lines of code in this file. Then after 15 lines of code, you thought I need to print the bank account number again. So what you have to do is you have to write the print statement, and in between curly braces you have to write the bank account number again, and you have to look to this text and match that here. So you have to write H383 and so on. Otherwise you have to go to the app and copy this line and come here again in the bottom, then paste here to just write this bank account number again. Then you have to run this code. You can see the output. For assume that you have other codes in between these two lines. Here can be many lines of code. So then think again that you have another bunch of lines of code here. Then again you have to write the bank account number again here. So what you have to do is, again you have to go to the app and copy this text and come to the bottom and paste here. So you can see it is not quite efficient, right? So to solve this we use a variable. So what does variable means? So variable means a container where we can store some value. So let's say I have this variable which is bank account. Then I can write the equal sign, and in between double quotation or single quotation I can write that bank account number H382 or something gibberish. Let's say this one. Now this is a bank account number. So now whenever I need to print this, I have to just write the print statement, and in the print statement I just have to write bank account. And if I write this, make sure to write here without quotations, without a single or double quotes, so just the name. So now if I run this, see, we have the output here. Now let's say you have multiple lines of codes here. So let's say here after 15 lines, now you have to print that bank account number again. So just write bank account and then run again. You can see the bank account number got printed 2 times because we wrote print 2 times. Now again, if you write many lines of code, for example, think here are many lines of code, then you have a requirement that you have to print the bank account number again. Then you just have to write the print statement, and here just write bank account. Then if you run the code, you can see that the bank account number got printed 3 times. So what did we learn? That a variable is a container where we can put some values that we can use later by that variable name. Now if you want, you can change the value inside the container. So for example, if you write a bank account and equal, then in the text or in the double quotation, if you write the other text, then after this, if you print again bank account, and if you run the code, you can see that first 3 times it printed the old bank account number. But after you set the bank account number to a new one, and then you write the new print statement, you can see it printed the new bank account number. And if you ask that can we just put a text inside double quotation and store that in variable, the answer is no, because we can store number like integers and floating point number and booleans as well, truthy or false values in a variable as well. So if you have letters, then you have to use the quotations, otherwise you will face error. So what do I mean? If I remove the quotations, And now if I want to run the code, you can see I got an error because the interpreter thinking this one as a variable too. So but this is not a variable because we haven't declared this. It does not hold any value inside it. But if I copy this and above that, if I paste here and I make this equal something else, now this is also a container. It holds the value something else. And when I say bank account equal to this one, it goes there and finds that it has something else inside it. So what it does is it puts this one inside this container. So now if I run the code, you can see first three print statement prints something else. Then when I change the value of bank account, then it changes. So what here happening is this is a variable, it holds this value, and this is another variable. So when I am saying that this variable equal to this one, as I don't have any quotations, it will think that it is a variable. So it will look for if this variable is declared or not, and if declared, what is inside this. So which is this one, this text, which is something else. So now if I select everything and remove, we can go further. For example, as you saw that we have a variable, let's say now the name of the variable is name, and if I store here Adil, it's not like that we can put a value other than text. We can put a value like integer, for example age. So we can say his age is 10. So now if I print name and then I say print age and run the code, you can see it prints the name Adil and the age 10. And if I name a variable like price of potato equal $2.99, now we can also print that. So I can write print price of potato. Now if I run the code, you can see the name, the age, and the price of potato. So I hope you understood what is variable and why we use it. Now let me clear the codes and tell you some restrictions while defining variables. So when you define a variable, there are some searching rules. For example, your variables can contain underscore, letters, and number. So if you declare a variable, for example name, then if you put the value Adil, then this is okay. But for example, if you ask that you want to make this variable name as first name, so what you have to do is you have to write first name like this. But if you say I will write like first space name, then it will throw an error. It is not allowed. Instead of this space, you can write here underscore. Then it is a valid variable name. You can write underscore later. That is also valid. You can write underscore at the first of the variable name. That is also valid. And in the variable name, you can use later. You can use numbers as well. For example, first name 1, that is allowed. If you write numbers in between the variable name, that is also allowed. But if you write number at the beginning of the variable name, that will throw an error. So this is not allowed. So now if I clear this gibberish and make the variable name first name equal to Adil, and let's see an example. If I write here print first name, then run this, we will see the output Adil. But if you put this in between single quotation or double quotation, then if you run this code, it will run first name because now it is a text, not a variable. When you want to print the value stored in the variable or a container, you have to write that without quotation. So that would be first name. So now if you run the code, you'll see the output.